Hello and welcome. This is Tuesday's edition of Business Morning. Thank you for joining us. I'm Chimezie Obi Ewago. The 23rd Nigerian Economic Summit has started off today in Abuja, and the summit is the biggest economic summit held in Nigeria annually. Now, this year's summit focuses on how to grow the economy through the Economic Recovery Growth Plan mandate. And it has the theme Opportunities, Productivity and Employment, Actualizing the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan. The Minister of Budget and National Planning, Udoma, said the federal government would implement measures towards realizing a growth target of 7% by 2020. And the summit is also significant given the need to sustain the imperatives of the Made in Nigeria agenda from last year's summit. President Muhammadu Buhari, of course, is expected to declare the summit open this morning. In the meantime, the annual meeting of the boards of governors of the World Bank Group and the International Monetary Fund is also underway in Washington. Channel's business news editor Bosun Omofai is attending that meeting and now reports.
Now, the annual meetings of the World Bank and the IMF all this week in Washington, D.C. will focus on a number of usual topics: the world economic outlook, global financial system stability, and, of course, the future of globalization. But there'll be other discussions around natural disasters and weather conditions and their impact on markets and economies around the world, including immigration. For African delegates attending this meeting, they'll be looking out for discussions around inclusive growth, the role of women and youth, and how to leverage this human capital for development in sub-Saharan Africa. There will be other topics of discussion, including the power of the private sector to leverage sustainable development and, of course, innovation and technology. On the final day of these meetings, the discussion will center around fighting corruption, a very important topic for a number of African economies. From Washington, D.C., all this week for Channels Television News, I am Bosun Omofai.
And on Friday, October 13, over 1,000 entrepreneurs across Africa are expected to converge on Lagos for the annual Tony Elumelu Foundation Entrepreneurship Forum. That's the third in its series. A recent report by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development shows that strengthening local markets and supporting African businesses and entrepreneurs can be a lever for accelerating the industrialization of Africa and help nations capitalize on the demographic dividend of the explosive growth of its youth population. And so it is believed that Africa can drive growth through entrepreneurial development. I'm now being joined by the Chief Operating Officer, Tony Elumelu Foundation, Owen Omogiafo, to discuss some of the issues. Good morning, Owen. Thank you very much for joining us in the studio.
Thank you. Good morning.
So what is the motivation behind the 30-year forum? Is it based on the assumption that Africa is the next investment hub?
Indeed, it is. So the motivation behind the forum is to give an opportunity for entrepreneurs across Africa and beyond to convey at one venue, Lagos, Nigeria, to showcase the best of Africa, to see Africa as not just the next frontier, but the right frontier, the investment destination for development across the world. And as you know, with the recent statistics produced of the top growing economies across the world, Africa actually has 3 countries on that list. So we're bringing everyone to Lagos, even beyond the Tony Elumelu entrepreneurs. Other entrepreneurs as well are invited to attend this forum, which has over 1,300 people in attendance. It has over 100 journalists from across the world coming to cover it. We have ministers, we've got presidents, we've got people from the developmental world as well, investment banks, coming in all to one place for one purpose: to empower African entrepreneurs. So it promises to be the largest gathering of African entrepreneurs.
No, it's the third in the series.
Yes.
How well has it actually achieved its objective?
Well, it's really been great, right? The objective is to create opportunities for people to network, get mentors, have people know about what you do, draw support from others. And the testimonials we have received from the entrepreneurs and other people who have attended have shown that indeed the objective of the forum has really been achieved.
And how far has it really impacted entrepreneurs in Africa, particularly in Nigeria, in terms of job creation?
Great, very lovely, wonderful question to ask. So about the program itself, so the Tony Elumelu Foundation has an entrepreneurship program, which is a $100 million commitment towards empowering 10,000 entrepreneurs across Africa. We're in our third year, we've identified 3,000. The forum is part of what we do in the foundation to take the story of entrepreneurship even further. And what it does is that it brings you together, it creates opportunities. In terms of the impact, we've had our entrepreneurs, we brought them together almost like an aggregator. So within the entrepreneurs, through our own network, they've expanded further. We've had other people invest in the entrepreneurs that we have first of all invested in. Because we've trained the entrepreneurs, they've gone on to be able to do their businesses even better. They've formed networks through our own networks and others that they have formed. They have met other people outside of the country. So as an entrepreneur coming to this forum, you expand your scope, you expand your geography, you expand your vision beyond just your geographical location. So Nigerian entrepreneurs have benefited quite very strongly from this, and I hope you'll be with us as well at the forum so you can have a first-hand interaction with them, because there's really nothing like hearing it from the horse's mouth. Okay,
now tell us about this year's forum. What exactly are we expecting?
Wow, this year's forum, dynamic. So for the first time, we've extended the forum, expanded it beyond just the Tony Elumelu entrepreneurs. We've invited people who applied to the entrepreneurship program but were not selected, entrepreneurs across other ecosystems. We've invited investors. We've invited the mentors. We invited people from developmental financial institutions who are going to come there to talk about the changing narrative of developing Africa, moving beyond aid to investments. And there are loads of things that people will get from there, from the rich speakers that we have lined up, 2-day program. And people will really get a lot out of coming to the forum, because you have so much opportunities to network, so much opportunities to showcase what you do, and of course, be a part of the largest gathering of African entrepreneurs.
Now, talking about selection, what's the criteria to be selected?
For the forum or the program?